Welcome back to another episode of the Jacksonville Buzz's Buzz on Business. This morning I have Barb Picciano from Integrated Success Solutions. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
You know, I'm doing great. We had a really nice opportunity to talk a little offset about some really amazing things that you have going on for service of our veterans, that you help hospitals with, but now you also have had the opportunity to expand services. Tell us a little bit about what is Integrated Success Solutions.
So we're a company that offers education, training, and coaching for either hospitals or individuals. And lately what I've been doing as a government vendor is helping to support the whole health program, which is across the veterans system of hospitals, in teaching things like aromatherapy certification and holistic rapid response. And so these are parts of programs that they're offering to veterans for health and wellness.
So, but just so we don't understand for the audience, they may not quite put their arms around that. You're not necessarily training the veterans.
No.
You're going to the hospital, helping them develop programs by which then they can use for our men and women exiting the military into the private sector, just trying to figure out how that next step looks.
Yes, and also this past year, the Veterans Hospital System added on to their whole health program to also look at how employees deal with their stress. So they have two separate whole health programs, one for the veterans and one for the employees, which is very exciting because that helps to bring me in even more to help them with their training for those employees.
So when we were talking a little offset about the core, the bread and butter program,
yes,
but now you're adding services. Is this the piece that you're adding? Tell us a little bit about that new line of service that you have able to develop from the initial core.
Sure. So my background is in holistic nursing, and I spent 25 years at the Cleveland Clinic as my original education in nursing and career. And the last 8 of that, I was a leader in their holistic initiatives, which included something called Code Lavender, or Holistic Rapid Response. And in doing that, we took care of a lot of employees, and I worked within the Office of Patient Experience. So what happened is, I'm looking now from a global point of view instead of one institution, and I see that I can bring in some evaluation on what kind of wellness and stress management tools we're offering employees in any corporation or any hospital system, and help those leaders to look at hands-on, in the workspace techniques for stress management that aren't necessarily those passive things that we're offering, like an app or a webinar, something that the employee has to do outside of work, where we can actually train people to be train the trainers within an institution, or train leaders to be train the trainers, and become a lot more transparent about how we can take care of each other in a colleague compassion culture in the workspace.
So for folks that may not understand to the extent that you understand, what is holistic nursing as a concept? What does that mean? And
Sure.
then why is that different than regular nursing?
Well, any regular nurse can become a specialist in holistic nursing. That's the first thing to always remember. Holistic nursing is an overarching theory of approaching your practice, looking at your client or your patient as a whole person. Most of the time you hear that's mind, body, spirit. My theory is really mind, body, spirit, and emotion, because emotion is what drives us to do all the things we do. And so holistic nursing is an actual accredited specialty in nursing that you can become certified with. There's a membership organization, the American Holistic Nurse Association, which is a great place to go to get started and look at all of the different aspects of holistic nursing. And then there's an accrediting body, the AHNCC, which actually does the testing and accrediting, which is approved by our American Nurse Association.
So it's just an additional level of certification in the nursing pathway,
That's
not
right.
its own thing that's over here.
Well, it's both. It's really both.
So you can come in as holistic from the go, or you can transition from just traditional normal nursing universe to this holistic pathway.
Yeah, and the way that happens is there are some hospitals, nursing schools that are accredited to teach holistic nursing through their nursing program. So it is kind of a bifurcated way of saying I'm a registered nurse, but I also specialize in cardiology, and I'm certified as a holistic nurse.
I would just like to point out to the producers of this show, I did not use bifurcation in a sentence. Barb did. That is a very excellent way to say split into 2 parts. I'm like, that's fabulous. So as we take it away, what are the couple things that you'd love to talk about with regards to whether it's a nurse trying to figure out the pathway, helping to deal with the things in the workplace? Like, what are the top couple things that you'd love to leave with our audience on how what you do adds value to whether it's your patients or to your clients?
Clients being hospital leadership or even corporate leadership for their employees, I would say the value that I bring for them is taking away the pain of trying to figure out what works and adding more and more things on top of each other to offer to their employees. Leave what you have there, but add something that's hands-on. And that's something that I can bring in, and people get excited to be able to help each other. You're gonna find your champions of this, and that will in turn change the culture to a compassionate culture, which keeps people to work for you longer. They fall in love with their job, and they want to be there. We live in a place where people in society went through a big trauma, and we're all trying to get back to the new norm, but why don't we just make a new norm? Why don't we create a compassionate workplace where we actually help each other instead of going outside of work where maybe we don't have time to get on an app, maybe we don't have time to get on a webinar, and bring it into the workspace and support that in the workspace.
That is I could talk to you for an hour about that stuff. And you had mentioned a certain global trauma that we went through 4 years ago.
Right.
It's really kind of changed the dynamic of everything. But what we'll do is we'll take all your stuff and we'll put it on our website, on the Jacksonville News, our Daily News Network. And then that way they can kind of click through and find out where you might be able to add value. But it's really interesting what you're doing because, you know, it's a unique world that we live in. And I think that people become more productive as they find out not just what their strengths are, but also, and I was, hesitant to say weakness, but opportunity for improvement.
That's
to
right.
To be their best authentic self. And helping them get to there is just fabulous, whether it's institutional setting or as an individual.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to be here.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us on the Jacksonville Buzz. If you like us, share us, and remember, live with gratitude.